Hello friends! Sorry, this is like the 5th video I've made today. It just turned out to be a good day to do videos, so you're being inundated today. Maybe you're only watching them one at a time once a week. I don't know. But if this is like the 5th time you've seen me today, I'm sorry. I mowed the lawn this morning, did some yard work, took some video of my wee village, which I'll put at the end. The 2 different ones, the front yard one and the backyard, progress on the backyard one. And then did a video of some questions I had about my Elan lap stand upstairs. You've already seen that probably. So now we're going to do whips. But first I'm going to show you a video that Catherine and I did while we were at Bear Lake last week. So that was fun. So we'll do that first and then I'll come back and we'll do whips and everything else that I normally do. Thanks. Hello.
Hi, Flosstube.
We are at Bear Lake, as you can tell, on the beach.
I was gonna say, coming to you from another exotic location in not Utah.
It's called the Caribbean of the Rockies.
Yes.
We are at the Caribbean of the Rockies.
Yes.
I don't know if you can tell today, but sometimes it's a gorgeous turquoise color.
Yes. But it's not as warm in the Caribbean.
No.
At all.
Well, for, like 3 weeks in August it is, but then otherwise no.
Yeah.
It's kind of warm today, right now.
The water is not warm.
Floss daughter's back.
Hi.
We cornered her at the beach, so she had to be in. Actually, she says she's happy to be in.
Yeah, I'm happy to be in the video.
We're just never in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, I know, right? I just need to come over more often.
This is going to be a short video. What did I just do with it? Okay, this is the one I bought at StitchCon, Wild Salt Air by Hands On Design. And I've been working on it down here at the beach actually, and this is where it is.
It's so cute! Wow, you got the border like all in. Sort of.
Sort of, part of it. Those are actually smearing crosses.
Oh, okay, so they probably go faster.
And it's the sulky. You see, I'll just do that. Using the sulky threads, not what's called for.
How's the conversion been so far?
Well, I don't have enough colors. Like I only have a dark brown instead of a dark brown and a light brown.
Oh, okay.
So, and this blue and this blue is supposed to be a different color than this blue, and I don't have all those blues, so. But I think it looks good.
Yeah, it looks great.
And I finished. This needle was. Rogue needle won't stay where it's supposed to be. Alright, I finished.
So cute! Oh, I love the colors in this one.
Caught up. I didn't finish. I got caught up.
On
this part down here. Which part of it I did at StitchCon and part of it here up at the cabin.
It's so fun.
Seize the Day by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. And this is my July piece. It's Back to the Future. You are my density. You are my destiny. And I have You Are My Destiny.
How's it been working on the black fabric?
It's fine.
Yeah?
It's 18 count Aida.
Oh, okay. So it's not bad.
Easy. My husband's our cameraman today. So I'm like, you are my destiny. And this is the geological marker from Mesa Verde Park. That's the magnet on this one.
Oh, yeah, you showed that last time, right?
Apparently the elevation at Mesa Verde is 88,572. That's higher than Angel's Landing of the other one you brought me.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Oh, okay, it's a different one.
Yeah, it's a different one. But I'm going to make it to a reminder. I'll have to show it to you.
Okay. Darn it, I should have brought down mine that you brought me from StitchCon.
Oh, yes, because I didn't show it to him on the video because I was like, I can't show you this because this is a gift.
It's really cute.
So it's still a secret.
Yeah.
I'll have to show it later.
So bring it next time.
So if you were going to, Catherine's thinking about maybe starting a cross stitch because she wants to come to the Snug Harbor Crafts Retreat.
Yes, but that's not till October.
So if you were going to start one, what one were you thinking about?
I'd probably start the sunflower one.
The Rosewood Manor.
Rosewood Manor.
Sunflower sample.
Was it Dreaming of Sunflowers?
I don't know.
But I gotta make, I need to make some alterations because I can't just stitch anything anymore. Apparently it has to change something, so yeah, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I still haven't started anything since the Project of Insanity that I finished in, what was that, January? Yeah. Oh, and then I guess I did I did a couple commissions and then I did your
alphabet sampler.
Yeah. So it's not like I
French,
haven't.
French alphabet sound.
So let's see. So how long have I actually not been stitching? When did I give that back to you? Was it in May? So it's been almost like a
early
month
May.
since
Yeah.
I stopped stitching for a while. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You going through withdrawal?
No. Not yet. It is weird to be on vacations though and not have anything
And
to
not have a
stitch on.
stitching
I think
project.
that's the first time in my life that I've ever been on vacation a couple of times and not had anything to stitch on.
Yeah.
Do other things like read books and stuff. So
Right. Have you been writing?
yeah, I've been writing a lot.
One of the viewers wants to be your beta reader when you have something to read.
Okay, great. I'll send you
Send
some
out.
stuff. Awesome.
All right.
Is that all we have?
Yep, that's it.
Wow. All right. Well, see you next time.
Yeah, see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Hopefully you enjoyed that little peek at our vacation at Bear Lake. You can hear the kids in the background. My husband was filming for us. I was not very comfortable. I do a lot better when I'm alone filming, not in front of a whole bunch of people. So I was very out of sorts. But we thought it would be fun to show you how beautiful that lake is. We were in Idaho, so my parents own a tiny, tiny cabin that my great-grandmother built on the east side of the lake in the sagebrush section over the Idaho line. So we were in Idaho. The top half of the lake is in Idaho. The bottom half is in Utah. It's about a 3-hour drive from my house. Okay, let's just get on to the normal video, right? Finally, let's do whips. So I finished my daughter-in-law Hannah's stocking while I was in Ohio. And so I started my other daughter-in-law's stocking, Lauren. She chose, oh, sorry, let me grab the book. Oh, this is the Heirloom Stocking series by Better Homes and Gardens, originally in the Better Homes and Gardens magazine, Cross Stitch and Country Crafts, every July-August issue, and then they reprinted them in this book, which has gone out of print twice. This book has 9 of the patterns. And then my only haul this week, I'm going to do that early. There was one more stocking in the series that was not in this book. It's on the Cooler Design Studio website, Kooler. Sandy Orton is the designer, and it's called Gardener's Delight. And I bought that this week just so I'd have all of them. So I thought I'd show that to you right now. So this is like a gardening shed design, but it's in that same series. And who knows, maybe someday I'll be stitching it for somebody else in my family. I love to garden. This would be a perfect one for me, but I already made one for myself. I have the Stitching Craft Room stocking that's in the series. But that is Gardener's Delight Heirloom Stocking by Sandy Orton. Okay, so Lauren chose the music room because her family is very musical. They even have a band, a family band. It's awesome. They played at their wedding, at the wedding breakfast. But this is the stocking that Lauren chose. You can see all those musical instruments in there. I met Jen Lee, I think, that does 24 hours of cross stitch at StitchCon, and she had some of the pages at her table so I could participate in the July 24 hours of cross stitch, the 3 activities she has going on. So I won't go through all of what I'm doing, but this is for E, the letter E, because if you really owned all those instruments, it would be very expensive. E for expensive. But I started right here in the middle. I'm doing this bow that has a flute, and I can't tell if it's a clarinet or an oboe in the bow. Working on this window. There's some more musical instruments up here. A trumpet and a violin up here. A lot of color changes in this stocking. It's going to be lots of fun. I've never stitched this one before, so this will be fun. And this is where I am so far. You can see that bow with the flute and the clarinet or oboe and the start of the window. I cut Hannah's stocking. I bought a piece of fabric big enough to do both of their stockings, one this way and one this way. and I couldn't decide whether to leave Hannah's stocking on here so it'd be easier to get in the Q-snaps, but I thought, no, I don't want to be putting the clips off and on her stocking all this time. So I cut her stocking off, which left me a weird shape piece of fabric. And then I just sewed another piece of scrap fabric that I had to this piece to make it a rectangle so that it would fit in the Q-snaps better. Does that make sense? So Lauren's stocking will come down like this. So that was how I made it work to go in the Q-snaps. I mean, normally you would just be using one piece of fabric to make a stocking, and then you would just have this weird piece left over that you would just throw away or keep in your scrap pile, right? But that was what I did so I could fit 2 stockings on the same piece of fabric. All right. The piece I showed you in the Bear Lake video, Wild Salt Air, I've decided is going to live in the StitchCon bag. I did put my StitchCon fob together, and it is the zipper finder for my StitchCon bag. And I don't remember if, I think I worked on it more after the video. Now I can't remember. So in case I did, this is where it is now. Wild Salt Air by Hands On Design, I believe. Let's make sure. Yes, Hands On Design. And I'm so happy that I got to start this at StitchCon and then stitch on it at the beach at Bear Lake. It made me happy. It says, I dream of the sea and the wild salt air. And on her instructions inside, she said she originally designed it for a group of ladies at a retreat, I believe, or in an EGA group, I can't remember. And they kept calling it Wild Salt Hair. She says, I hope I never actually print that in any of the official paperwork accidentally instead of Wild Salt Air. But I laughed because, you know, if it's windy and it's salty water, your hair does do crazy things. Wild Salt Hair. I am stitching that with sulky threads. I bought some sulky threads when I was in Ohio, S-U-L-K-Y, because I wanted to try them. I'd never tried them. I used the teal out of the Garden Gates box, which I think is this color right here. And then the rest of them, I bought the pack of threads for More Chocolate Bunnies, because I was looking at the colors in that and thinking those colors look lovely to do Wild Salt Air with. Let's see if I can get enough of them up here to show you. And then I bought one more pack in the Keepsakes Annex. It was also a little 6-pack, and I threw the box away because to fit everything in my suitcase, so I don't know what the pack was called. In the description box below, you can see. So I used some colors out of that, the colors out of More Chocolate Bunnies, and the colors out of the Garden Gate series. I still don't have as many colors as all the, like there's a dark brown and a light brown in Wild Salt Air. There's a dark pink and a lighter pink. Sulky makes enough colors. I could totally find the right colors. I just don't know if I'll buy any more. I think I might just use the colors that I have and adjust the chart a little bit to use the colors that I have. And this is the rest of the colors. And I just keep them all in this little zipper bag. It's on fabric that I got from, while I was at StitchCon. It's color and cotton fabric, and I believe it's limited edition color, but that will be in the description box below as well. One strand of the sulky on its 28 count fabric is fabulous coverage. I like it a lot. I think I would prefer 32 count with the sulky, but it's fine on 28 count as well. Like I said in my other video, I just have to remember not to pull so hard. But it is really nice to only have to use one strand of floss on 28 count. I think it's turning out beautiful. Okay. My Mania piece that was assigned to July, and I will finish it in July, is Back to the Future by the Witchy Stitcher. And it says, you are my density, you are my destiny. I'm doing this in July because I'm going to make this my 33rd anniversary piece. because it's our anniversary next week, and it will be our 33rd anniversary. And we saw this. This came out when we were dating, and I'm pretty sure we went and saw it together. We've seen all of them. Loved them at the time. Still love them, but really enjoyed them. Kim, I hope you don't fall out of bed again, but I was not a child bride. I got married when I was 21, and it's my 33rd anniversary. So yes, if you do the math, I am 54. I had Catherine when I was 23, lost daughter. So just in case you're wondering if I got married at 16 or something, I did not. And hopefully, Kim, you didn't just fall out of bed again. And thank you for she told me she fell out of bed when I mentioned somewhere that I was a grandmother. And because she just couldn't believe it. Thank you, that was very flattering. This is where I am so far. This is not big, it's not complicated. It's going to be done by next week, I think. I just have the DeLorean to do down here and the fire. And then You Are My, and then finish Destiny right there. Loving the colors of this. It is very colorful and beautiful. I'm doing it on black 18 count Aida. I had a viewer tell me I needed to get it ironed because the longer you leave it wrinkly, it's harder to get the wrinkles out. And thank you. You motivated me to actually get the iron out and ironed it. So I did. I did notice on my dark blue Victorian charm piece, these Q-snaps do not make a mark. On my 32 count black linen that I'm using for Words to Live By, these Q-snaps do not make a mark. For some reason on this black Aida that I have soaked before I started using it in cold water because I wanted it to be softer, these white Q-snaps will leave a mark on it. It doesn't really matter on this piece because the whole piece is going to fit right here, so the white marks would be out in the framing, but on Victorian Charm that would matter. And on the Words to Live By, that would matter. So on this, I don't know if it's the sizing that comes in Aida. I'm not sure what's picking up why the Q-snaps are leaving a white mark. So I am just using some dark gray felt pieces that I cut under my Q-snaps so that they're not on the fabric. Because I'm still going to use Q-snaps, and I'm still going to use 18 count Aida whenever I have to work on a dark fabric. When I do that May I piece, May I Always Have a Small House and a Large Garden, that one by All Through the Night, is it? That will be on 18 count black Aida. I love it. You can see the holes, you can see what you're doing. You still get to do tiny stitches on black that I love, but you can see what you're doing. So I love 18 count black Aida. There's no progress on that. What's in here? I can't remember. This is a bag from Shepherd's Bush. Oh! This is my healing garden. This is based on a pattern called Temperature Garden by Stitchin Mommy. She has a Flosstube. She does Flosstube videos channel as well as an Etsy shop. I bought the pattern through Etsy. I modified it a little bit because I needed to be able to tell where the Mondays were, where the Tuesdays were. I needed to know what day of the week it was. So I modified it just a little bit. I am woefully behind. I've been working on it this week trying to get it caught up. So I'm done through April. I'll work the rest of this week on getting it caught up to today. But this is what it's looking like so far. I love it. And it is definitely doing its job of making me track every day. It was supposed to help my neurologist, and I need to keep better records for the neurologist on the headaches, charting them every day. So I knew if it was in a piece like this, a cross stitch piece where I had to have the data, and if I didn't have the data, I wouldn't be able to finish it. I knew that would motivate me, and it has. I keep track in my little bullet journal that I love bullet journaling. I have a little bullet journal that I carry with me everywhere. I keep track in there. And then when I'm ready to stitch on it and get it caught up, I can just go back and look and see. So that has been working very well. And it will be caught up the next time I show it to you. That is my goal. I'm committing to that on camera in front of you. Seize the Day and Words to Live By Seize the Day is by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. It's a monthly mystery stitch along. That is still caught up from the last time you saw it. Nothing new. And Words to Live By will come out, what's today, the 11th? It'll come out on the 14th is usually when I get it in my email. So not time to work on those yet, so I'm not going to show you because they haven't changed since the last time I showed you. And I have not worked on Victorian Charm either, so I'm not going to show you that one. But that will be, I'll work on it Saturday. That's one of my Saturday projects. I did work on Morning Has Broken. It was a class piece by Theron. Let's see if we can find it. It looks like this. This is the piece I work on Sundays. I was able to put some time on it Sunday, and this is where I am. Worked on the alphabet and that little squirrel. Finished that blue flower, which is padded satin stitch. The alphabet is over 1. The squirrel is smearing across, as well as all that dark green outlining of the leaves and everything that's also smearing across. That is where that one is. Loving that one. Loving it. See it move along. It has almost no cross stitch in it. It's almost all specialty stitches. Like the alphabet is cross stitch over 1. And it's on 32 count, I believe. All right. In my tour of the craft room, which is the video I did right before this, I showed you my magnet board. I had to show Catherine that I actually updated it. Every single whip I have right now is on here. She's always encouraging me to own my debt, own my stitchy debt, and keep track of it. And I am an organizer brain, and that makes me happy. If I wasn't, then I wouldn't do it. But she knows that it would make me happy if I do it, so she encourages me to do it. And as I said in my other video, there were 3 others right here in Craft Prison that I have pulled out because one of my goals this summer is to figure out what I was going to do on them to make it work and to get them out of Craft Prison because they all had a problem that I couldn't quite figure out what I was going to do. So, Victorian Christmas by Victoria Sampler. It's washing out. I don't know if you can read these. The EGA Basic Sewing Kit and The Signs of Spring by Diane Clements are all coming out, and I'm going to make a plan to fix them. Signs of Spring will probably only take me a day or 2 to finish that and fix it, so I'll show that to you later when I work on that. The Basic Sewing Kit, I have an idea of what I think I've made a plan of what I want to do. As soon as I choose a pattern for the one last piece on it, I'll show that to you. But the one I'm going to show you today is Victorian Christmas. Oh, and there are, as I told you in my other video, there are 37 whips right now. That's how many I have. Not counting this one in Craft Prison. That's Peter Pumpkin Eater. It's a Haid. And I just decided that I was not interested in working on that Haid right now because I'd rather work on a Stitcher's Shelf, which will probably take me another 20 years. So when I finish a Stitcher's Shelf, I may go back to Peter Pumpkin Eater. And Catherine had a great idea of just doing the part that I love instead of the whole thing with the sky and everything. So I may restart that at a later date and just do the part that I really like and put it on some over-dyed fabric or something. So I'm not going to get rid of it, but it's going to stay in Craft Prison for a while, and I'm not going to count it as one of my whips. So 37, which is more than I've ever had because I've done Mania for 2 years now, but I did realize counting up everything that was in the Stitch 9 challenge, stuff that was assigned to them, like Density, the Back to the Future one that's going to be done this month. All of those that are assigned to a month, a lot of those are small enough to be done that month. Words to Live By and Seize the Day will be done because I'm keeping up on those. There were 23 of these that in theory, not even crazy talk, okay, some of my Stitch 9 are crazy talk, but the rest of them is totally doable. I will have those done by Mania time next year. So of the 37, I really think 23 will be done by next May. So that's good. I think that's awesome. So let's show you Victorian Christmas by, which I think is what it's called. Let's pull it out and see. Heirloom Christmas Sampler by the Victorian Sampler. Wow, those are similar. It is a long band sampler. The front cover model, which I think mine got left in the sun, so it's a little faded now, was in teals and pink, light teal and a light pink. I'm doing the black, the green and red color version, this one. But I am doing the whole thing, the whole long piece. This shows a version where they only did part of it. But this is the red-green colorway and that beautiful tree. This is my oldest whip. This is from 2004. I got to that first section where you have to pull the threads right here. It's pulled thread work. And she actually has you do it the way where you cut the thread in the middle, you unweave it to the side, and then you weave it back into the edges. That's how she does it for pulled work. I did that first one and realized I do not like doing that. It is fiddly work. I didn't like the way it looked when I was done because I'm not very good at it, the weaving part. I don't mind the drawn thread, actual working the threads. That's not hard. It's the cutting them, unweaving them, and then weaving them back into the edge. So I pulled out another, I have another piece that I did. Which is also a Victoria Sampler piece, where stitchers gather. I've only got this pocket done. One of my goals is to get these 3 pieces done so that I can fully finish this. But I noticed on this pattern, instead of weaving them back in, I'll show you the whole thing here. The part that makes into a pocket. She has drawn thread on here, drawn thread work, but instead of weaving in the edges, she just did the hardanger satin stitch on the edges that seals the edge so that you can cut those threads and pull them out. And that is way easier. So my plan is to just do that. I'm just going to do that for all that pulled thread work. This is why it's been in craft prison for probably 12 years, at least 15 maybe, because I just didn't want to do that weaving back in. I just would think about it and just go, no, I don't want to work on that today. But this is the year. And that's my plan. In my video right at the beginning of the year where I did a whip parade of everything, I showed this to you up close up, and I showed you the tree at the top. It's finished. I'm not going to unroll my scroll rod, sorry, to show it to you again. So if you want to see it, go back and watch that video. I made it on like January 3rd, something like that. And I don't remember, I know that's in 2 parts, A and B. I don't remember if it's in the first one or the second one, but I think the description box will tell you which one it's in. I did roll it, and I rolled a piece of really thick batting in over the top of it so that when I rolled it, because I had put all the beads on it and everything, this will never get finished unless I just do the beading as I go. So I'm just going to keep putting pieces of batting in as I roll it to try and protect them. But this is what it's looking like so far. And I actually pulled it out. It was on some really old, cheap scroll rods from Joann's, because that was way before I ever knew about artisan design stands or real scroll rods or anything. It was just some that I got at Joann's, which work fine. They're just not my favorite, but you could totally use them. So I took it off and put it on some of my nicer scroll rods. These are the scroll rod side clips that I made myself that I talked about in my other video. They're longer so that I can make it clear across this gap. The ones that you buy commercially, depending on which ones you get, sometimes are not long enough to make it that far. So I used my homemade ones that will make it further. And they are really long, so I've got all this extra pieces hanging out all over. And so I pulled it out, put it on these new scroll rods, and I actually did this lettering right here. So I am very happy that that came out of craft prison and that I have a plan and I feel good about it, and it's going to get finished. Hopefully this year. That would be nice. That one is going to take a little bit of work because I have so many bands still to go, and It's almost all specialty stitches, not a lot of cross stitch in that either. And I think the last one is Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions. This one I try really hard to work on the first 30 to 60 minutes every day when I sit down to stitch, on the days that I stitch, which is most days, because it is tedious for me. It is like row after row of border, and you know how much I love borders, because it's just the same. It's like a row, it's like a whole sampler of borders, rows of borders, where you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's gorgeous. I love it. It's a Vera Soie silks. They're gorgeous. I love the colors. I just don't enjoy doing the same thing over and over and over again. It alternates a row of cross stitch and then a row of specialty stitches. And I am on the specialty stitch part of the light green. It's going to take 3 passes of the light green, and so this is the first pass of, this is rice stitch. Then there will be another pass of, I think it might be a smear and a cross, I can't remember, or if it's an eyelet. And then the third pass will be another row of rice stitch in the light green, and then I'll do the exact same thing right next to it in light blue. And if you've been paying attention, you know that when we get to the light blue, we have turned the corner. I am so excited. So that will probably happen about right here. And then the bands will start getting shorter and shorter. So I am thrilled to death to almost be to the light blue. I was really hoping that would happen while I was in Ohio, but I didn't work on it as much as I was supposed to. This is a picture of the whole thing, but it cuts off a little bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. That purple, there's a little bit more down here and there's a little bit more up here. But this is your general idea. It is a beautiful, beautiful sampler. It also comes in a version that is all cross stitch and no specialty stitches. She sells both on her website. If you did a search for Northern Expressions, you would find it. I got it as a PDF download. I think that is all of my current whips that I've worked on since the last video. So what comes next? Old finish. My old finish, since next week is my anniversary. Oh, I didn't pull the pattern, rats. This is by Drawn Thread, I believe, and I think it's called Marriage of Minds. It's either Marriage of Minds or Marriage of the Minds. It's one way or the other, and I can never remember which one it is. It will be in the description box below. I made this for our 20th anniversary, and it is based on a sonnet by Shakespeare, and I love what it says because it is like real marriage, not happily ever after make-believe marriage. This is what real marriage is. It says, "Let me not to the marriage of true minds admit impediments. Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. It is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken." And at the bottom it has our names, the dates that would have been our 20th anniversary, and underneath, my favorite part, 20 tempestuous years. I loved making it. It hangs in my bedroom. I just love this. And it always reminds me that love is a choice. Love doesn't just happen to you. Love is a choice, and it's work, and it's tempestuous. Marriage is joyful, not always happy, but it is true joy. And then for what I wish I was stitching on, since I chose for my Mania piece to work on in July, to complete in July, and obviously I started them all in May for Mania, I chose an anniversary piece instead of a 4th of July piece. So I'm kind of missing that I'm not working on something patriotic right now. But I was looking, this piece is called Glory Glory, and it is by Jan Alexander of Tree of Life Samplings. And it was in the Just Cross Stitch Annual Christmas Ornament Preview issue, July-August 2013. Looks like this. There is an article about Tree of Life Samplings in Jan, in this magazine, and then this design by her. And I have it all kitted up. Why I haven't stitched it yet, I do not know, but I love it. That's what I wish I was stitching on. Maybe it will be a mania piece for next year, and this will be my July piece for next year. All right, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have as much stitching time as you would like to bring you some joy, or at least a little bit to bring you some joy, and that you have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. I mowed the lawn today and had a chance to work on my little wee village that's in the front yard, by the front door. So I thought I'd show it to you. I have 4 little doors out here that I got on Amazon. My dad sliced some wood and made that little table and chairs for me. The window air conditioner unit. We have a swamp cooler in our house. The window air conditioner unit is on the chocolate kitchen. Because when Kevin dips chocolates, it has to be a certain temperature. It has to be cold. This is house, little door. House number 2. The flat shale rocks came from my parents' property at Strawberry River, where our cabin burned down last year in a forest fire. So it'll be a few years before I can get back up there. It's also where I got all of these rocks and wood with moss on them. I brought them home with the moss on them, hoping they would survive, and so far they have. They look like they need a drink today, though. And I have there's a pine tree just above me, as you can tell. Pine needles everywhere. Several pine trees right behind me and above me. And we have little pine tree starts coming up. I just noticed that today as I was excavating these. I take the doors in the house for the winter. And I didn't bring them out last summer because we were in the middle of our adding onto the back of the house, and then we had to reshingle the roof. It was a mess. So last summer we just let the yard go. So I was excavating out here trying to find where the doors go back in, and found my succulents that I had dumped out here that I knew I would find eventually that go back in my wee village. I'll tell you more about that later. So there's the front. And I thought I'd give you a progress update on the back wee village. We're working on the first thing we have to do is put in the water feature. This will be the brick's just in there in case a child fell in. That will be the where all the water ends up at the bottom, and we'll have the water pump in it to pump the water back up. It will go up a little stream. Well, it will start up here in the corner. We have not, I've just stacked those rocks up. We have not hooked them together with concrete yet. But the water will come down the rocks, down a stream. They will end up in a little funnel full of rocks. It will just look like a rock pool. The water will go down the funnel. We buried a hose that went under the wall before we made the wall. The water will come back up and come out this water feature, which is my old water feature from my old wee village. Sorry, my hand's shaking. Then it will come down a little stream that we will be making in the next couple of days and end up in the bucket. So we kind of have to finish that before we do anything else over here. Do you like my glove tree? I stuck a branch in the ground and hung my gloves on it because they're waterproof and they were not getting dry on the inside, and so they were starting to smell. And then, since I need my husband's help to do the rest of the water feature, I pulled out some of my stuff for the wee village down here. I still haven't gone to buy plants yet. This is just what was survived over our addition on the back of the house last summer. I'm shocked anything survived, but I have had a few plants survive. When I very first put this garden in, I had this house, cute little house, that's made, the roof is made for you to plant plants on the roof. So I planted it with succulents. And I also that little, oh, and I knocked the bench over. This little, I don't know, what would you call it, a gazebo? Is made to have plants in the top of it. So glad that rose bush survived. And then this little tiny gazebo is made to have plants in the top. And the very first year I put succulents in them, in the wintertime, I brought the gazebos in and I just dumped the succulents out of them upside down in right here in this dirt. Figuring succulents, that was the first year I had used succulents. Succulents aren't going to survive. There's no way. They're these tender little plants, right? They're going to just die over the winter. They're just going to be dead. Well, the next spring when I came out to put all the houses back in and put the wee village back together, I had just dumped those succulents upside down. They had had a foot of snow on them, frozen all winter, but when I uncovered them and turned them back over, they were still alive. So I just put that big chunk of dirt right back in the gazebo, this one, and this little one, and back on top of the house. And they kept living for, I don't know, 5 more years. I just kept doing the same thing. So not last summer, but the summer before that, when I pulled all of this stuff out because of the construction, in the fall, summer before last, I took them around to the front yard and I just dumped them out upside down in front of those little doors that I was just showing you on a walkway, thinking that eventually, even if I forgot I had done it, eventually I would find them. And I did. As I was out there excavating, I was like, I had completely forgotten. Oh my word, here's my succulents. So this is July now. We had such a wet spring, we didn't have the sprinklers turned on until, gosh, maybe 3 weeks ago. So they're looking a little dry. I'm not sure if they'll survive. It'll be interesting to see. I'm going to water them today and see if they come back. I'll also buy some more succulents and replant them and fill them in. But I just was so shocked that I had forgotten that it was still there. I'm so happy. I've been collecting all the rocks we've been finding as we put the wall in and had to dig holes and everything. Found all these rocks. So that's just the rock pile. This is the remains of my little stream bed from the old, watch me fall down, the old water feature. We can't reuse it, I don't think, so the concrete, if we didn't do it very well, the water seeped through the concrete really bad. We're going to do it different this time. And this was a planter, this one and the one on my front porch. Some nursery was getting rid of them because they didn't want to keep watering them and wanted the space for something else, so they gave them away to someone who worked in the nursery, had like 20 of them. And my husband did an install at their house the other day for his Miles wireless business, and she gave us 2 of them. So I have one. I put one here. I'll move it over when we're done with the water feature. All right. I'll give you another update in another few weeks.